Hi there! We are excited to share our group presentation with you. For this week, we will be discussing both creativity and intelligence as they pertain to human behavior, learning, and cognition. During this presentation, we will define key terms and understandings, discuss essential theories, examine the relationship between creativity and intelligence, explore different ways to assess and foster creativity, and examine implications of these concepts. Before we move into the content, let's establish key definitions. Researchers define creativity as the ability to produce original and useful ideas to solve problems or communicate. This definition aligns with the broader definition of intelligence as the integrated mental ability to deal with new situations. Beyond helping us think of new ideas or create original content, creativity gives us the essential and inspiring feeling of being alive. In a survey of over 1,000 experts, 60% identified creativity as a vital element of human intelligence. The psychometric study of creativity began with J.P. Guilford in 1950. In his Structure of Intellect theory, he identified up to 180 specific abilities of which intelligence can comprise. The process of divergent thinking, which creates multiple creative solutions or ideas from one starting point, is a major operation within this theory. Furthermore, Guilford identified 4 key traits as measurable factors of creative thinking: fluency, flexibility, elaboration, and originality. While Guilford's work on divergent thinking gave us a way to measure the process of creativity, other theorists began looking at how creativity actually fits into our broader intelligence and environment. This brings us to a few key models that look at the big picture of how we create. Specifically, Sternberg's triarchic theory, Amable's confluence model, and Wallace's process model. First, we have Robert Sternberg's triarchic theory. Sternberg suggests that intelligence isn't just one thing, it's actually divided into 3 parts: analytical intelligence, which is what we typically use in school; practical intelligence, or the ability to adapt to our everyday context; and, of course, creative intelligence, which is our ability to be flexible and innovative when facing new problems. But creativity doesn't happen in a vacuum. Teresa Amable's confluence model argues that for true creativity to emerge, 3 things have to intersect. You need domain-specific skills, meaning you actually know what you're doing in a certain field; creative thinking skills; and, perhaps most importantly, intrinsic motivation. Basically, you have to want to do the work for the sake of the work itself. Finally, we can look at the creative process through Graham Wallace's classic 4-stage model. He describes creativity as a journey that starts with preparation, where we gather information, followed by incubation, where our subconscious takes over. Then comes that aha moment, or illumination, and finally, verification, where we actually test our idea to see if it works in the real world. So, we've seen how creativity intersects with intelligence and motivation, but how do creative people actually navigate the world of ideas? This leads us to Robert Sternberg and Todd Lubert's investment theory, which uses a clever market metaphor to explain why some people are more willing to take creative risks than others. Sternberg and Lubart's investment theory suggests creative people buy low and sell high in the realm of ideas. They pursue unpopular ideas with potential, persist against resistance, and then sell high once the idea becomes valued.
Building on Sternberg's investment theory, it is also important to consider how creativity and intelligence are related but not interchangeable constructs. Research suggests that intelligence can support creativity, particularly in terms of problem solving and knowledge acquisition. However, a high level of intelligence does not necessarily guarantee high levels of creativity. This idea is often explained through the threshold theory. The threshold theory proposes that intelligence contributes to creativity up to a certain point, typically around an IQ of 120, but below the threshold, the relationship becomes significantly weaker. This distinction is especially important in educational settings where students are often grouped or evaluated based on traditional measures of intelligence. A helpful way to further understand this relationship is through Wallach and Kogan's four-category model. Wallach and Kogan's model help explains the relationship between creativity and intelligence by showing that they are actually separate traits, not the same thing. They identified four different combinations: high intelligence, high creativity, high intelligence, low creativity, low intelligence, high creativity, low intelligence, low creativity. Things to note are that students who are high in both intelligence and creativity tend to be confident, expressive, and successful in both academics and social settings. On the other hand, students who are high in creativity but lower in traditional intelligence are often the most overlooked. This highlights an important idea: being creative does not always translate to doing well in school. Like Carrie mentioned earlier, Sternberg's triarchic theory is important to understand intelligence, but it also helps explain the relationship between intelligence and creativity by emphasizing that intelligence goes beyond just analytical skills. While analytical intelligence focuses on evaluating and solving problems, creative intelligence is what allows individuals to generate original ideas and think in new ways. Practical intelligence then applies those ideas in real world contexts. What this shows is that creativity isn't separate from intelligence. It's actually one of its core components. So someone can be highly intelligent not just by doing well on traditional measures, but by being innovative, adaptable, and how they think about and approach problems. Given its complexity, assessing creativity presents a unique challenge. Unlike intelligence, which is often measured through standardized testing, creativity is multidimensional and does not have a single correct answer. Because of this, researchers use a variety of methods to assess creativity. For example, divergent thinking tests ask students to generate multiple ideas to a single prompt. Product-based evaluations look at what the students actually create and assess the originality and effectiveness of that work. Lastly, performance-based tasks evaluate how students apply their thinking in real time, often through problem-solving or hands-on activities. All of this highlights the need for more flexible and comprehensive approaches to assessment in education. If we want to truly capture creativity, we have to move beyond the one-size-fits-all testing and create opportunities for students to demonstrate their thinking in different, more authentic ways. One of the most widely used tools for assessing creativity is the Torrance Test of Creative Thinking, or TTCT. The TTCT is designed to measure divergent thinking, which includes four key elements: fluency, flexibility, originality, and elaboration. This assessment includes both verbal and figural components, such as generating unusual uses for everyday objects or completing visual prompts in creative ways. These components provide insight into how individuals generate and expand upon ideas rather than solely focusing on the correct answers. In contrast to traditional assessments, Sternberg proposes performance-based measures of creativity. These assessments involve open-ended tasks such as writing stories, developing solutions to novel problems, or creating original designs. Responses are evaluated based on a criteria such as originality, complexity, and effectiveness. This approach aligns more closely with real-world applications of creativity and provides a more comprehensive understanding of a learner's abilities.
Although brainstorming is meant to encourage creativity, it can often have the opposite effect. One major issue is the dominance of outspoken participants, which can limit the contributions of others. In addition, ideas are frequently evaluated too early, discouraging individuals from sharing more creative or unconventional thoughts. There is also a tendency to favor ideas presented at the beginning of the discussion, regardless of their quality. A lack of structure can lead to distraction and result in ideas that are not clearly developed or connected. In addition to these challenges, traditional brainstorming often results in a collection of disconnected ideas without a clear plan for implementation. Teams may become distracted or overwhelmed by other responsibilities, which reduces their ability to think deeply and creatively. As a result, brainstorming sessions may generate ideas, but fail to produce meaningful or actionable outcomes. This highlights the need for more structured and intentional approaches to creative thinking. To improve creative thinking, structured techniques can be used to guide idea generation. Three important techniques include the sticky notes method, the scamper technique, and the six thinking hats framework. These approaches help organize thinking, ensure equal participation, and encourage individuals to explore ideas more deeply rather than relying on unstructured brainstorming. Each of these techniques supports creative thinking in a different way. The sticky notes method allows individuals to generate ideas independently, which reduces dominance and encourages equal participation. Scamper helps modify and improve ideas by encouraging individuals to think about substitutions, combinations, and new uses. The Six Thinking Hats framework allows groups to explore ideas from multiple perspectives, making discussions more balanced and effective. In addition to the creative thinking techniques, design thinking is a broader approach used to guide creative problem solving. It is a structured process that focuses on identifying problems, generating ideas, and developing practical solutions. Design thinking is iterative, meaning ideas are continuously tested and improved. This approach is especially valuable because it connects creativity to real world applications and encourages thoughtful, solution based thinking. Creativity is not something that develops on its own. It is strongly influenced by the environments children are exposed to. Both the home and the classroom play a critical role in shaping how students think, express ideas, and take creative risks. At home, parenting styles can either support or limit a child's creativity depending on the level of encouragement, independence, and emotional support provided. In the classroom, teachers and the learning environment also have a major impact on whether students feel safe and motivated to think creatively. In the next slides, I'm going to break down how creativity is developed at home and in the classroom, and what factors either support or hinder that development. Creativity begins developing at home, and parenting style plays a major role in shaping a child's creative thinking. Supportive and encouraging parenting helps build self esteem, allows children to express their ideas, and promotes independence. These behaviors create an environment where children feel safe to explore and take risks. On the other hand, discouraging behaviors such as being overly controlling, criticizing a child's thinking, or rejecting their ideas can limit creativity. When children feel judged or restricted, they are less likely to express original ideas. This shows that creativity is not just an individual trait, but something that is strongly influenced by the environment at home. The teacher plays a critical role in developing creativity in the classroom. First, teachers must be open to students' ideas and questions, which helps build curiosity and encourages exploration. They also need to provide consistent support by reinforcing creative efforts and recognizing student contributions. In addition, teachers serve as models of creative thinking, showing students how to approach problems in new and flexible ways. It is also important for teachers to create a safe environment by protecting students from peer criticism or bullying, which can discourage creativity. Overall, when teachers are supportive, open, and intentional, they help create a classroom where creativity can grow. To create a creativity supportive environment, students first need a safe space where they feel comfortable sharing ideas without fear of judgment. When students feel safe, they are more willing to take risks and think creatively. It is also important to encourage autonomy, allowing students to think independently and explore their own ideas. Teachers should support creativity by providing positive feedback and guidance, which helps build confidence. Finally, creating a respectful and inclusive classroom ensures that all students feel valued, which increases participation and supports creative growth.
Now let's look at Sternberg's propulsion theory, which explains how creative ideas move a field forward. There are three main ways this can happen. 1. Accepting and extending current paradigms. 2. Rejecting and replacing current paradigms. And 3. Integrating current paradigms. Types of creative contribution. The 8 types of creative contributions are divided into 3 major categories. 1. Accepting and extending current paradigms. Under this category, we have 1. Replication. The propulsion remains stationary in a place where nothing changes. 2. Redefinition. Observing the same thing in a new way. The propulsion leads to a circular motion with different points of view. 3. Forward incrementation. Making small progress as the propulsion leads to forward motion. 4. Advanced forward incrementation. Pushing progress forward. The propulsion is accelerated beyond the expected rate. 2. Rejecting and replacing current paradigms. At this point, we're at number 5, redirection. The propulsion changes towards a different direction. 6. Reconstruction or redirection. This means that it is returning back to an old idea and then moving forward in a new direction or redirective. 7. Reinitiation, which means starting from a new point and direction. Number 3, synthesizes current paradigms. And number 8, integration. The attempt to integrate 2 previous diverse ways of thinking, combining 2 different approaches that are now linked together. And overall, creativity isn't just about new ideas. It's about how those ideas either improve, change, or combine what we already know to move things forward. Instructional implications. Sternberg highlighted the importance of mental processes in understanding intelligence rather than just measuring intelligent performance. Let's take a closer look at the 3 core types of thinking: analytical, creative, and practical, to see how we can foster them in the classroom. 1. Analytical thinking, also called componential thinking, focuses on problem solving, reasoning, and critical thinking. In subjects like math and science, we can design lessons that challenge students to analyze data, evaluate solutions, and think logically. A real-world application connection would be that these skills help students make better decisions and solve problems in their everyday life. 2. Critical thinking or experiential thinking is all about innovation and flexibility. We can encourage this through open-ended projects, brainstorming sessions, and collaborative activities. Creative thinking prepares students for careers that demand new ideas, entrepreneurship, or finding multiple ways to approach challenges. 3. Practical thinking or contextual thinking emphasizes applying knowledge to real situations. Activities like case studies, role-playing, and simulations allow students to practice what they've learned. Practical thinking equips students to handle challenges, make informed decisions, manage time effectively, and respond to everyday responsibilities. All in all, to support student success in both academics and everyday life, teaching should seamlessly integrate analytical, creative, and practical thinking with academic skills in an engaging and meaningful way. Aptitude treatment, interaction in education. Next, it's important to recognize that there is no single best way to teach all students. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Every student comes with unique abilities, prior knowledge, experiences, and learning preferences. Teachers need to assess these factors to guide instructional strategies. The data collected by the teachers means that we can differentiate lessons, activities, and materials to match different learning styles and pacing. Flexible and responsive teaching is key to maximizing learning outcomes for every student. Expanding the assessment of student abilities. Finally, we need to look beyond traditional tests. Standard tests often measure academic knowledge, but not abilities or practical intelligence. We can implement assessments that evaluate creative thinking, problem solving, and practical skills to see how students would apply these in real-world situations. Here's a list of a few creative assessments available: Divergent Thinking Test, Remote Associates Test, Torrance Test of Creative Thinking, Artistic Assessment Tests, Biographical Inventory of Creative Behaviors, and Product Evaluation. Using this data, we can differentiate instruction and design activities tailored to each student's strength and growth areas. Additionally, we should provide creative opportunities for students to showcase their learning such as a project of choice, portfolios, presentations, experiments, or performance tasks. It's essential that teachers use a variety of assessment tools to gain a better understanding and perspective of each student's abilities, talents, and individuality. In conclusion, Sternberg, 2006, states that creativity is as much a decision about an attitude toward life as it is a matter of ability. Creativity is often obvious in young children, but it may be harder to find in older children and adults because their creativity potential has been suppressed by a society that encourages intellectual conformity. Page 93. By providing an environment that rewards new ideas, we can help everyone realize their potential.